Madlab Performance presents The Lab Podcast. Here's your host and chief mad scientist, Dan Gilbert.
Hello and welcome everybody to The Lab. I am Dan Gilbert, and joined with me in the bunker today is a modern day Winston Churchill, Luke Hillman.
Always.
And joined with us remotely from a different location over the phone is our nutrition expert, Zach Lewandowski.
What's going on, guys?
Zach, today we're going to be talking about, being that you are a nutrition expert, we're going to be talking about the main thing on everybody's minds these days, the old CV, the coronavirus, maybe some things that we can do in the kitchen to help prepare us for to prepare our immune systems, help us stay healthy, do the best, put us in the best possible situation too. If somebody gets the virus, maybe to get through it, or maybe to prevent from getting it in the first place. What are some good tips that people can follow when thinking about nutrition for this devastating time?
So some good things to think about are, the proper diet, high in fiber, focus on being around maintenance calories. Especially if you actually are sick, you're going to actually have a little bit higher of a caloric intake. Focusing on stress control is huge. Good sleep, obviously proper hygiene, and then still trying to exercise during this time while gyms are shut down. So it makes it a little tougher.
It is a little more difficult for sure. Just explain why the high in fiber.
So diets very high in fiber have been shown to reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. They also have been shown to reduce weight in individuals with obesity. So it's important, especially just to have a well-rounded diet throughout the year, and not just worry about it, when problems arise.
And this virus does seem to be...
Well, one thing I wanted to talk about for the fiber. So the reason why the fiber is shown to do all those things is because typically foods high in fiber have a low glycemic index, right? Not processed sugars.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure we...
Okay, yeah. And then it does seem like people that are in worse shape or that have maybe some other illnesses are at much more higher risk of, being part of the mortality rate for this virus, for sure. So I think putting ourselves in the best position that we can is extremely important. What if we're looking at fiber? What should we aim for? Do you feel
so? A good rule of thumb is about 25 grams. Now, if somebody is starting at the very low end on their daily intake, wouldn't recommend them to just jump up to 25 to 30 grams. Try and slowly increase that, or you might have a little bit of GI issues kind of going along with that.
And with the lack of toilet paper right now, that's probably not a good thing.
Or people, I would say, have enough. They can just be shitting all over the place.
Yeah, some people do.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Okay, excellent. So you gotta ramp that up slowly if you're not getting enough. And I feel like a lot of people probably are not getting enough.
Majority of the population does not meet their fiber needs.
Now, when it comes to that, because also we have people that are, I would say, are in the gym a good bit, probably listen to this, and they have higher protein counts than your general population. Does fiber apply same to them, that 25 grams? Do they go up because they're ingesting more protein, more calories, or how would we address that?
So fiber is very person dependent, just like most things, especially with nutrition. Your weight, size of the person is going to differ. So normally, the more calories somebody is taking in, the higher their fiber intake should be.
Got it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, so with so we have the fiber, obviously. What are some other things that you should try to get? Like if you're looking at some things to boost your immune system.
So definitely fruits and vegetables. And then, I already know we're going to get into the vitamin C debate and topic, so might as well bring that one up.
Oh, you're talking about the recommended daily allowances?
Yeah, so there's been some research about vitamin C helping common colds. There's a lot of hype behind vitamin C right now, especially with the coronavirus.
Yeah, there definitely is. So getting more vitamin C, is that helpful, or getting the recommended daily allowance, or should you not worry about it? Like, where should we be with vitamin C and maybe some of the other immune boosters like vitamin E, vitamin D, like those kind of things?
Yeah, so vitamin C is definitely important. And you can get it through fruits and vegetables. Just putting it in context really quick. So adult men, their recommended daily intake is about 90 milligrams, and then adult women is about 75 milligrams. So to help you put that in context, a single medium-sized orange has about 70 milligrams of vitamin C.
But then also, wasn't the RDA was developed a pretty long time ago. I think it was in the 1960s. And when they were thinking about vitamin C specifically, it was for people to avoid scurvy.
Yes.
Which, I think you have to be pretty low on the totem pole in vitamin C consumption to get scurvy. And there has been some connections, like you said, to the common cold, but then also with cancer and a host of other different illnesses and diseases. So I would think, and this is I don't know, I'm not a nutrition expert, which is why we have you on here. I would think that getting more than the daily allowance, obviously to a certain point, could put you in a better position. All of this stuff is guesswork because there hasn't been a whole lot of research on this virus since it's relatively new.
Right.
But again, I want to put myself in the best position as possible, and the same with my friends and family members.
Yeah, definitely. It's not gonna hurt you to increase your vitamin C intake, but the other thing is, people hear vitamin C intake can help, and they go crazy with it.
That's a good point.
That could cause some problems too, because high doses of vitamin C can also cause nausea, diarrhea, some abdominal pain, and going back to that toilet paper, I don't think we want people.
This is very true, for sure. What are some things that you think we should avoid, like foods that we should avoid eating?
So honestly, I don't even know if I'd recommend right now avoiding a specific food, just because Luke even knows this. Going to the supermarket, like, you don't have many options right now.
That's very true.
Yes.
Very true.
Yeah, the supermarkets are pillaged.
Yeah.
As old Mahendra Kara was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing right now is just trying to get in, fruits and vegetables, keeping your protein intake a little bit higher. And that can be a struggle right now with the way the supermarkets look.
So if you were going to the supermarket right now, which I'm sure you've had to, what are some things you're trying to eat healthy? You're trying to keep your immune system up. Also, maybe you're trying to maintain the gains that you've gotten in the gym, and you're struggling with home workouts and stuff. Like, what are some things that you can look around for that are going to be pretty available? Not everywhere is a little bit different, but what are some things that you could see you would recommend the common person to take off the shelves that you think will still be there?
So, from my experience, the whole meat section is just completely wiped out.
You are not kidding.
Yeah. So
I've experienced that today.
Yeah.
Now, you could always go to frozen meats, some frozen chicken, chicken thighs, ground chicken. And then even if that's not there, you can always go to seafood. I know there was still some seafood when I went.
That is a good point.
Shrimp.
I actually got a ton of salmon today because I tried to get grass-fed ground beef, and I was like, I felt like maybe some of like the organic stuff and like some of the higher end stuff would still be there, which wasn't true at all. And I looked in 3 different grocery stores, but salmon was all over the place.
No, I noticed that.
Yeah, salmon.
Not to cut you off, but I noticed that there a lot of tuna fish. Which I got some. Had to.
Like the canned kind?
The canned kind.
I can't. I know it's a good option.
Yeah.
I just cannot. I can't do it. I don't think if I was starving, I'd be like, I'm just gonna waste away. I'm not gonna worry about canned tuna.
Oh, if I had to choose to waste away, there was no meat. Just that's a popular one. I've noticed.
Luke Hillman, a big self-preservation guy.
Eggs definitely have been sold out, but I feel like the eggs are coming back on the shelves though. Because when I was just there earlier,
I couldn't get eggs from a couple. What else would you be looking at, Zach? Those are good points for sure. I think seafood is something that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, a little replacement. If you got if nobody likes canned tuna, they actually do have canned chicken.
That's a good point.
It's not the tastiest, but it's for now. It's going to have to work.
Right, if you're very serious about keeping your figure.
Then there's always deli meats. Those were still there.
Yep.
There's always the prepackaged ones. I know they're a little higher in sodium, but kind of like we said, right now, some things you just don't have a choice, and you just got to make it work.
Very true. Very true.
So I guess the things we would say to avoid though would be obviously like your sweets. Like if you're stuck inside, let's not buy your dozen donuts.
Well, it's very strange because the bakeries are completely wiped out.
The bakers are wiped out. The bakers are completely wiped out.
They were like, we just need donuts and toilet paper and breads. That's it. And we should be fine for the rest of the decade.
But especially since a lot of the population can't work out, it's hard now. There's no gyms or anything, so you're not probably going to burn as much. And so having all those empty calories, I cannot imagine.
What about some like higher, some more nutrient dense foods? So we're covering pretty much got a good idea of the proteins. What about some more nutrient dense foods? Some things higher in fiber that you think are available?
Yeah, so we could go through if you want to go through, carbs and fats as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Another thing I noticed is there's a lot of prepackaged stuff that lasts a long time on the shelf is pretty much gone. So I actually made a little list. So potatoes have been kind of wiped out. Good substitute for that is frozen hash browns.
Lewandowski, dropping the knowledge. That's a good idea.
Coming with it, man. I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm pissed. I actually didn't pick that up.
I didn't think about that either. For sure. Keep going, Zach.
Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, that's an eye opener right there.
This next one's gonna sound kind of obvious, but it was there. So a replacement for brown or white rice is yellow rice. Shockingly, that was still on the shelf.
I think that is a common thing because I would look at it and be like, well, I don't even know if I would have bought it. I probably would have just passed over it for whatever reason. That's a good point too.
What I have noticed too there is because I'm a big oatmeal guy.
Yeah.
Oatmeal's not completely wiped out, but just the oats to make it yourself. There's plenty of that.
Yeah, that's because you have to add a bunch of stuff to them for them not to be disgusting.
Well, like you said, you're in a bind, so I mean, it is what it is.
No, it is good for you.
Yeah, and if you're serious about maintaining your goals and stuff like that, I mean, there's steps that that I'm taking.
I know, by Luke. Luke.
And I'm sure a lot of people are. So I mean,
so we got yellow rice. What else would you say, Zach? Got some gems here.
One of the other things that was going was bread. So the other thing, you could do an English muffin. You could do a whole wheat fajita wrap. Quinoa is a big one that not many people get.
Yeah, I actually get that all the time. Yeah, I'm with that. That's always available. I think it's because people can't spell it. I think that's why they don't get it.
Yeah. Another one that was still there was either a protein pancake mix or a regular pancake, or popcorn. Popcorn was there. So.
Oh yeah, they probably have those. They have those protein pancakes and they have the Kodiak cakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, Kodiak cakes. I actually eat those. They're not the best, but
my little kid eats those. He loves them for whatever reason.
I love them.
I don't. Yeah, I think I actually kind of like them too.
Yeah,
but they definitely. If you had to eat that side by side with another pancake, you would 100% notice the difference.
Yeah, but for what it is, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're definitely good.
Yeah.
They're a little dry, but
True. I guess you don't.
That's what syrup for, right?
I want to get something kind of good for me and just destroy everything with the sugar. Sorry, Zach.
Move on to some fats.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so peanut butter, gone.
Yeah, peanut butter is completely gone.
So you could do almond or sunflower butter.
Yeah.
Those are good options. So avocados are going as well. You can do, seems pretty simple, but guacamole. Hummus is another good one. So olive oil has been pretty scarce too. So regular olives, although I'm not going to be one to grab some regular olives.
I get olive oil, but
Nope.
olives for some reason I'm not
I'm not an olive guy.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I definitely won't eat any olives.
I think that's one of those things. It's like olives are like pickles in that way. You either eat pickles or you don't. You either eat olives or you don't. There's no middle ground, you know?
Last one would be cheese. Cheese honestly hasn't been wiped out yet,
It's
so
true.
that's good.
It's
That's kind of
true.
odd to
Cheese
me.
is holding the line.
Hold on. That seems odd to me. It seems like it's probably certain cheeses that get bought out.
Well, like, of course, I would imagine you're crappy. Like, the crafts, they're gone.
Yeah.
All right. But, like, anything like
Like the little packets
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
But like when you go into like the cheese part of
Yeah.
like Martin's has
Yeah.
that whole cheese part,
Yeah.
that probably is all there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But some of those cheeses are like putting down a car payment. Like $80.
Yeah.
For some of those cheeses, it's like a wheel. Okay, what about I think another thing that's happening and that people are starting to do because they're at home, Zach, and they're bored. So they start turning to some alcohol, to the bottle. Do you have? Can you talk to us a little bit about? Obviously, we know like a lot of the health issues and stuff, but if we're just looking at it from just like a body composition standpoint and
For this
immune
time
system
period.
standpoint, for this
Yeah.
time period, what are your thoughts on that? And like maybe how people can kind of make some other decisions or do some different things.
Alcohol can add up pretty quick. And then when people are drinking alcohol, they tend to snack a little later on too when they've had a couple.
This is very true.
So it's not just the alcohol alone. At this moment when everybody's stuck at home, you don't want to just put on the pounds and everything you've worked for. It's not going to kill you to have a couple beers throughout the week, but having them, every night it's gonna add up and put on the pounds pretty quick.
For sure. And then I guess because you have kind of a double whammy there because of the way the supermarkets are and because you're not working and stuff, so it's easy to be like, oh, well, I'll drink some beers and then be like, oh, well, I'll get delivery as well. And then all of a sudden you're coming out like week 2, week 3, like 15 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
That can happen quick.
I noticed too, like a lot of places are doing free delivery at this point, which is
yeah, I know. I did some of that yesterday. I got some Mexican food. Tried to make somewhat of a good choice, but it didn't end up great because then they give you chips and salsa, and I love chips, and I annihilated them.
It's too addicting
for sure. What are some other tips that you have for people? Let's get a little bit away from the immune system and the way the supermarket looks, and let's go into just straight body composition and people that are trying to lose weight or put on muscle. What are some things that you notice from your own expertise that are some myths that people go after? Then they're like, oh, I think this will work because of this, and this, and that's completely not true. What are some things that you run into that you feel like you have to debunk when you have conversations with your clients?
There's I can give you
I'm sure.
So from a muscle gain standpoint, the one that shockingly I still get a lot is the window, that 30-minute window after you work out to chug your protein shake, or else you're gonna miss that.
Yeah, otherwise it's a complete waste of a workout, right?
Yeah,
that's not true. That's not true.
I saw it on Instagram though.
No,
Yeah.
so there's a couple of things for that. The meal you eat before you train still plays a role in your post-workout recovery. So if you consume a meal 2 hours before you work out, that meal is still digesting, and that protein that you consumed before you worked out is still going to help after you work out.
And that actually makes a lot of sense, right? With the way our digestive systems work.
Yeah. So that metabolic window it's a super, super old myth. It's been debunked in a lot of research at this point.
What would you say, not to be skipping around here, but that's how my brain works. Can you give us a really good, let's say somebody's going to work out at home. What should they eat before they work out? What should they eat after? Just give us like some examples of what they should be looking for and what those meals would look like.
So for somebody before their workout, like depending on how long before your workout you eat, I don't normally recommend like a huge meal, but you obviously want some sort of protein and carbohydrate. Keep it a little lower on the fats end because that's going to slower your digestion. And then post-workout as well, you obviously want a protein source, carbohydrate, and you can have a little more fat in that post-workout meal.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, for sure. What are some other myths that we're looking at?
So I think we could stick on nutrient timing as well, just overall throughout the day. So when it comes to, muscle gain, muscle loss standpoint, what's going to have the biggest impact is just overall caloric intake. So if you're in a deficit, you're obviously going to lose weight. Maintenance calories, you're not going to gain or lose. And then a surplus is a surplus, so you gain.
Am I looking at this per day? Am I looking at this weekly? Like how should I be looking at my caloric intake?
So day to day is important, but at the end of the week, that's going to matter the most. Like if you have one day where you go off track, say for example, somebody's goal is to lose weight. They have one day where they go off track and they just think everything is ruined. But that's not the case. So if you're, high one day, just make that next day lower than it was normally supposed to be. And that puts you kind of back at that maintenance calorie standpoint.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. For sure. What's another thing that you come up that you feel like you have to debunk? Let's go with weight loss, because we have a lot of clients that are trying to lose weight and do certain things, and then I think there's a lot of confusion there with diet as well.
Yeah, so I think one of the easiest ones, especially with weight loss, is just like bad foods. People just think every food they eat is a bad food, and all they can ever consume is just fruits, vegetables, and food that doesn't taste good.
Oh, yeah, that makes... No, continue.
So the biggest thing with that too is like when people will go to some form of diet, will go to keto, because that's a super popular one. And you'll tend to see people completely, cut out carbs with keto, but then fats they go crazy with, and they're just eating, bacon, red meat, donuts, and they just think it's
sticks of butter.
Well,
yeah, it's keto, man. I could do whatever I want.
And that'd be kind of a odd diet to start up in this type of situation too, I feel like. Because one, you're probably completely changing your lifestyle. And also those people are going to reintroduce carbs probably after this. And then if you're not used to processing carbs, insulin, weight, right up.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too right now, so with this situation and everybody being home, and honestly most people not having access to a gym, depending on your goals, I wouldn't recommend cutting down unless you're super overweight and at higher risk for certain diseases. I would definitely recommend still losing. But say for example, somebody has a good amount of muscle mass, is fairly lean, but says he just kind of wants to cut down for summer because it is that time of the year.
True.
At home workouts, you're not going to really challenge yourself too much if you don't have weights. So if you're in a deficit, you're not really going to give your body a reason to hold on to that muscle.
That makes
so you got to
sense,
eat the cat. It's kind of like in my position. Like I'm not trying to eat at a deficit because I don't want to lose muscle mass.
I know Body by Luke doesn't. That's not part of the program.
So what he's saying is literally what I'm trying to do, even in my own schedule right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mainly I would, at this point, recommend staying in a maintenance phase and just trying to, still do what you can activity-wise and just try and stay on that weight level where you're comfortable and not gaining or losing at a super rapid rate.
Yeah, because I feel like with this, no matter what you do, you'll probably gain a couple, lose a couple. But, I mean, that's nothing drastic in the overall goal, I would say, in your fitness journey. I mean, I think that's, you give and take a couple pounds. I mean, it's inevitable in kind of this unprecedented situation. And I don't think you should hang your head if that happens.
Right. I tell people all the time, especially when I'm doing the nutrition consult, it's like your weight is going to fluctuate a lot from day to day. And that can depend on your sodium intake, stress. You tend to hold on to more water weight when you stress. So just seeing fluctuations in the scale, I wouldn't stress over it because, especially in this time, if you're not working out much, like you're going to hold on to a little more water weight.
You just kind of want to trend in the right direction, I guess.
And I guess the key word is stress, because let's be real, a lot of people are stressed right now.
A lot of people are very stressed.
Yeah, are very stressed. So, I mean, I would say a lot of people are experiencing what you were just talking about.
Absolutely. Zach, you brought up keto. So I'd like to bring up a couple of those this very specific ways of eating, ways of dieting. What are your thoughts on let's start with keto. What are your thoughts on keto in general?
So I'm not huge on keto. If it's worked for somebody and it's something that they can sustain over their lifetime, like good for them. I'm not going to be one to tell you not to do it. But majority of the population is just not going to be able to do it year after year. And it just doesn't fit most people's lifestyles, especially people that are training, or that are athletes.
What about, what would you say about, another big one is intermittent fasting? And that's something I think that we've all played around with, but I'd really like to get what your thoughts on it and what you recommend with it, or if you recommend it at all, or if there's some issues that you find with it. What do you think about that?
Before he answers, can I say that I feel like, because I just want to say, before he makes his, I just want to say, I feel like that's probably one of the diets in this current state that probably would be easy, it would be good for people to try.
Okay. Because you do have like some lack of
food. You're not working out as much anyway. And then also, if you're not trying to, for like a caloric intake way, it's a good way to help you restrict your eating.
True, but it also could be one that gets screwed up pretty fast, too.
Well, that's called user error. But yeah, but
that's a big part of it, though. Yeah. Zach, what do you think?
Same thing as keto. Like, if it works for you, go for it. But kind of like Luke said, like sometimes when people intermittent fast, like they'll kind of overdo it when they break that fast. And that just leads to putting them in a caloric surplus throughout the day. You'll find like the common theme here overall with every single diet that's going to matter is caloric intake, getting your daily requirements of protein and then focusing on fruits, vegetables, and fats.
Yeah, I think that is the big thing to look at. I will say with intermittent fasting, I ran into that issue as well. Like with anything, I think nutrition is very individual dependent. So if somebody's excited about something, like a new idea or whatever, then they're going to get more results from something than somebody else if they're just doing it just to do it because they think it'll work but aren't really that excited about it, right? Sometimes just a new idea is more exciting. Also, some people's bodies are going to react differently from certain ways of eating. When I did intermittent fasting, I liked it a lot that I didn't feel like a slave to food. So I could go long periods of time without eating, which I liked to be able to do and not being like, oh, I'm hungry, so now I'm angry. But I definitely did overeat and got much less results from intermittent fasting. I've probably tried it in different ways, 6 or 7 different time periods in my life, and not for a week at a time, for months at a time. So I got more consistency off of tracking my macros, making sure that my calories are good from week to week, and then just eating fairly consistently.
Yeah. One of the biggest things too with diets is, the fad diets. So from research, suggests that within a 3-year period of finishing your diet, 95% of those people regain all or even more of the weight that they lost.
Yeah, that's an excellent stat. I mean, it's not good, but it is one that I don't think people realize. And I think that they just get excited about something, or they almost want to have like some kind of cheat code to getting where they want quickly. But it really is something that just is a slow progression. And I feel like people forget that. Just same with exercise. They look at something, some way of exercising that they can, in like 3 days, feel like they're in way better shape than they were 3 days before, which is, it's insane to do something like that fast, right?
Yeah, and like one of the big things I preach to the people that I help with nutrition is, keto might be working for you right now, and yes, you're seeing results, but it's like, can you do this 3 years from now? Because people hop on the train that they see instant results, and they automatically think like, oh my God, this is magical. All my friends need to do it.
Yeah, and I think it comes with an idea, and people are doing it, and then they're telling other people about it, and then they try to get a whole group together. And for some, it works, and at least at the very least, and to say something somewhat positive about it, I think that it gets people at least interested in being in better shape. So maybe they try it and it doesn't work for them, but at least they start thinking that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's a huge part of it, just changing your mindset and like wanting to change.
I feel like every time, and obviously it's not every time, but a lot of the time that I talk to somebody, and a lot of them, aren't our clients. If I go out in the community, a lot of people are going to talk to me about health and fitness because they associate me with owning a gym in a business like that. So then they always talk about their own health, and a lot of them will be like, will go, well, I just got back to the gym. I just started doing this. So I made sure that I cut out carbs, and I'm having, good results. I've already down this amount of pounds. Can you please help me explain carbohydrates and their place and everything, and like why people are experiencing like short-term gains from cutting it off, and like if it's even, is it sustainable, or are there some issues with it? Help us cut through some of this mess.
Yeah, so biggest thing with the carbohydrate. So when people instantly cut carbohydrates, carbohydrates store in your body as glycogen, or even blood glucose. So just to get a little scientific, each gram of glycogen is stored with at least 3 grams of water in your muscles. So obviously, when you increase carbohydrate intake, you're going to pull water into your muscles and make weight gain pretty noticeable. So, reverse that. You're taking away carbohydrates. Your glycogen stores are going to be reduced. So that 3 grams of water that goes along with it is going to be reduced as well. So that initial weight loss is very heavy on the water weight side.
Okay, that makes sense to me. What about, so I should just cut out carbohydrates completely?
That was a great point.
It is a great point.
That was a fantastic point. We got to highlight that. That was a great point. Yeah.
But so should I just, to lose weight, should I just cut out all carbohydrates and not eat any?
I would never recommend that.
Why not? You only need fats. Fats and protein. That's all you need, man.
That's it.
That's what I've been told.
If you're somebody that wants to work out as well, or at least feel like they have energy throughout the day, I definitely wouldn't cut carbs completely. So when we'll go to exercise because, that's our main crowd here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you're doing exercise at an intensity that's greater of approximately like 60% of VO2 max, blood glucose and muscle glycogen are your 2 primary fuels to produce ATP. So
can you explain VO2 max real quick in like layman's terms for our listeners, and then also ATP?
Yeah, so VO2 max is basically known as maximal oxygen uptake. It's a measurement the maximum amount of oxygen a person can utilize during some form of intense exercise.
So the higher the intensity, the higher they are on that scale.
Right. So
and the closer to their max they are.
A higher VO2 max they have, the better, obviously.
Right. So the higher VO2 max you have, the better shape you're in. The higher you are towards your max in a given workout, then the harder you're working, essentially, right?
Right.
Okay. And then what about ATP for our listeners?
So ATP is our main fuel during explosive movements. We'll go to keeping it.
Try to keep it layman. I know you're a very scientific guy. That can be difficult.
I'm trying to keep this, not sciencey.
I think explain it as more of our like on some of our explosive movements, more like our short-term fuel.
Yeah. So basically, I guess a good way to put it, muscle glycogen is used to oxidize to produce ATP, which ATP is required to sustain exercise. So when we run out of glycogen, we obviously can't produce as much ATP, and that's when we start to, have you heard that term of like hitting the wall?
Yes, I've hit the wall many times.
Yeah, that's when muscle glycogen starts to become depleted.
Luke Hillman only breaks through walls.
That's all that happens.
Okay, so but what about the argument that instead of using carbohydrates for fuel, I'll just switch to using fat as fuel instead? Because that's what essentially keto is, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And most people have the assumption that, when they're on keto for a week, they're already using fat as their energy. But it takes weeks and sometimes even months to actually have your body transition over to using fat as your source of energy.
And then if you mess any of that up, can that stop that process? So
it's same in the reverse. Like, it takes time. It's not just something, you mess up right away and it's just like everything's destroyed.
Okay, that's good then. All right, that helps. So if you're trying to get somebody to lose weight, like what do typically their macros look like? And so macros, we're talking about macronutrients, so like fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Like what are some percentages that you usually look at for people so they can get an idea?
Protein should be between 10 to 35% of your total daily calories. Now, if we're actually going to base that off of research, we're going to be a little on the higher end. So good recommendation is 1.6 to about 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So just to put that simple, if somebody wants to calculate that, take your body weight, divide it by 2.2, get your kilograms, and then multiply it by that range. And you'll get, you'll get your daily intake. Carbohydrates should be between 45 to 65% of your total daily calories, and fats are 20 to 35%.
Now, would you change those percentages for someone in the current situation of things?
No. I don't think you should recommend like big changes from your daily lifestyle. Now, if you're not using as much energy and doing, intense exercise, yes, you may be able to cut back on some carbs. But overall, like we said before, it's going to come down to maintenance calories in order to stay at your weight.
Excellent. Zach, what are some other things in wrapping up here? What are some other things that you really want our audience to know about nutrition in general? Like things that you feel like they need to have as ammo for whatever their goals are, whether it's losing weight or gaining muscle or whatever they want, or just being more athletic.
I would say focus on long-term with nutrition and stop looking for a quick fix. Biggest thing I've noticed with nutrition is everybody that comes in is everybody talks about what they did in the past and why it didn't work. And it was always, 4 or 5 week quick fix or some product that promised them, lose 10 pounds.
If you drink all of our products. Right? Right? That's it, yeah. Our special shakes.
Use my discount code for 10%
As long as you spend,
use my discount code. That's great.
For every $100 you spend, you lose 1 pound of weight.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent piece of advice, and I do feel like that is what is one of the things that are most broken in the exercising community. Right? They are looking for a quick fix with certain things, especially diet, and then that eventually goes awry, and then a year later they're sitting in front of a professional telling them that it just didn't work because they just didn't stick with it.
And most of them are like these 4 to 6 week plans. And realistically, when you make dietary changes, and like I said, I'm not the expert.
We have to go, but continue with your thought, but we have to go over cleanses too.
Yeah, so dietary changes, maybe
I screwed you up.
Screwed me up, man.
I should have just held on to it. But I'm so ADHD. I'm like, if I don't say this at least, then he's gonna say his, and then I'm gonna forget mine. That was greedy of me, Luke. So let's go over cleanses. You can think over there in your corner.
Yeah.
You can really start to think about it. But what do you think about cleanses? Before I start my diet, before I do whatever, I'm gonna do a 48-hour cleanse, or I'm gonna do a week-long cleanse, or I'm gonna do a 30-day cleanse. What are your thoughts on that, Zach?
Just to keep it simple, it's just garbage.
I feel the same way.
Your kidney does a very good job at cleansing, toxins in your body. So your apple cider vinegar, or whatever
dirt drink, green dirt drinks, just to detox you for like 3 days or whatever it is.
But I would never recommend them.
I also feel like people feel like they're being cleansed because they switch their eat. Like let's say I'm doing something drastic and I start drinking all this vegetable juice and I'm not eating any solid foods, my body is obviously going to have, so there's going to be some changes there that make myself feel like I'm being cleansed in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Constantly. But that mostly is just from the extreme switch in whatever I'm doing.
And of course, at that point, you're going to feel cleaned out.
Right. Because you could do the opposite, right? Like I could right now, I've been pretty good with my eating besides the Mexican food and the chips last night. But besides that, if I switched to, if I started to drink a whole bunch of beer, if I just drank beer and ate pizza for 3 days, I would also experience the same kind of bathroom cleanse.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't actually be a cleanse. It would just be my body being like, what are you doing? Here's how we feel about this. And I think that is adds to a lot of the confusion about what is actually happening with their body.
I think a good quote from, I don't know if you guys know who Lane Norton is, but basically a good quote that kind of sums that whole detox thing up is it's like trying to put out a bonfire with a water gun.
It's an excellent analogy.
It's a quick fix.
I feel like that's how I live my life, pretty much. But it's a whole different thing, Zach.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Luke, did you think of your point?
Yeah. So with 4 to 6 weeks plans, and you're changing a nutrition habits or diets or whatever you want to call it. I mean, let's just be realistic. You're not going to see dramatic results in 4 to 6 weeks from starting completely changing your lifestyle.
Right.
Most people who are doing those 4 to 6 weeks plans have had 6+ years of just eating like garbage.
Right.
And you're not going to reverse that in 4 to 6 weeks.
I think that's
you know what I mean? And I think that's a misconception to what Zach was saying about just the quick cheat code.
Yeah.
I can just do that for that amount of time, hop on this for 4 to 6 weeks, and I'm looking great.
Yeah, unfortunately, you feel a lot better.
Yeah,
which is good. Yeah,
and that's the first part of it. Yeah,
all sorts of things happen. Yeah, so we're not saying that nothing short term is going to happen to you that's going to be positive
from a composition standpoint.
Yeah, from a composition standpoint, things just happen a little bit slower, for sure. I also think that sometimes when people start to eat healthier, they do, they end up eating a lot less salt, so they do have they lose some water weight, which is good. But I think they get frustrated sometimes initially because they lose water weight in that first week or so, or first couple of days, and they expect that weight loss to be like that weekly from then on out. So
one of the big things kind of going off of that is I tell people weight loss is never linear. You want it to be, but
I like that. I want to write that somewhere. Continue.
Put it on the wall.
Put it on the wall.
Going on the wall. Madlab. Going right on the wall.
Right on the wall.
If you're in a deficit for a while, your body obviously wants to be in homeostasis, so it's going to adjust to that caloric intake that you're at. So eventually, people will see results right away, but then once they get a little deeper into it, they're like, why am I not losing weight anymore? Just because your body is adjusted to that caloric intake. So you need to create.
That's when my man Zach adjusts their caloric intake and their macros, right?
So there's several ways you can do it. You can either continue to drop calories, or if you're already pretty low in calories, and you don't feel like you want to stop eating the volume of food that you're eating and you feel like it's good. Another way to create that deficit is just through cardio.
That's an excellent point. Zach, this has been very eye-opening, my friend. You're very wise. You're a very wise man.
Definitely a great conversation.
Certainly. So we just want to thank you for having you on. We're very excited about having you as part of Madlab. I know you do nutrition with us through our Diet Master Pro database, so we're very excited about that. Everybody on here can check that out on our website. So thank you again for coming on, Zach. Definitely appreciate it.
And
thank you for having me.
Another thing, please give us a visit at madlabperformance.com and check us out on Instagram as well.
Thank you, everyone. And it has been another version of The Lab.